It's very peaceful, like he said. It's very calming. It calms the mind. It's a different environment.
Like she's probably experienced more of it compared to me.
Yeah.
Just because she's very unique looking.
I have like a lot of tattoos.
She has a lot of tattoos.
Oh, wow.
I usually show.
Because you hide it. I didn't know.
Yeah.
This society here, compared to like American society, is a society that's very driven towards preservation. So, for example,
First thing I saw is Super Mario with Welcome to Japan. And I
Super
thought,
Mario,
I think a big thing for me as well is you go and you sit down to eat. You don't walk and eat.
Is this the first time to Japan?
Yeah, it's my first time.
So what is your first impression of Japan?
I like it. It's peaceful.
Peaceful compared to United States?
Yeah, very peaceful. You don't have to worry about, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to look over your shoulder a lot more than what you do in the U.S. and everything. So it's kind of like a more calm area.
Yeah. And what do you think about it?
It's a different aspect than we normally would see in the other parts of the world. This is very peaceful, like he said. It's very calming. It calms the mind. It's a different environment. I mean, we love it.
What is the one thing that you feel really surprised during your trip in Japan? So maybe you can talk about it.
Just the genuine respect from everybody. Like, you know, you go to different states in the U.S., you don't get that genuine respect because everybody from the U.S. stays in the U.S. But when you come over here, they treat everybody with respect, and you can kind of see it. It's not like one of those things where they're treating certain people with respect over others. It's a genuine mutual understanding of respect for everybody here.
So it's all about respect.
Yeah, that's what I feel. I feel the respect. I feel the love from everybody here as well.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you feel about that? I mean,
it's really a different environment out here compared to in the Western world that we're used to. So I really recommend a lot of people start traveling to different places of the world so they can see how it's not just the same everywhere and it's always different, and you can really learn a lot from traveling.
Yeah, that is a good point. You don't have to stay in your own bubble, right?
Yeah, you're going to learn many different things just from traveling and seeing how different people look at the culture and many different things as well.
Is it the first time to Japan?
Third time for me.
Third time.
But it's my first time. Yeah.
Your first time. Okay, so you first. So what is your first impression of Japan?
I found everyone very, very polite and very nice. Everyone's very respectful of each other, which was not surprising because I watched a lot of videos online about Japan before coming, so I knew that, but it was a nice change, definitely. Yeah.
What is the one thing that you feel really surprised during your trip in Japan?
Maybe one small thing is when you're on the subway, like being very respectful of each other and not talking loudly, or I'm not sure. Just I guess people are much more reserved, which was a bit shocking coming from like a Western country. But I think the politeness and the respectfulness is probably the most shocking thing. Even though I knew about it, but actually coming here and being able to experience it.
Because you came here in person, so you can feel that.
Just because back in Australia, like you get catcalled or.
What does catcall means? Like it's a bad stare? Catcall, what is that?
It's like if we were just walking on the street, someone might just yell out something
like whistles?
Whistle or like even just a comment
about your appearance.
I mean, that is really bad for girls, right?
So it happens a lot at home, but not here. Like she's probably experienced more of it compared to me. Just because she's very unique looking.
I have like a lot of tattoos.
She has a lot of tattoos.
Oh, wow.
I usually show.
Because you hide it. I didn't know.
She has a lot of tattoos, so lots of stares.
Yeah, I get lots of like shocked, like curiosity stares.
So you have like heavily tattooed?
Heavy. So both my arms are done, my legs, I have my chest, my stomach, my whole back's tattooed.
Can you like go to the hot spring in Japan?
No, not at all.
So you have never experienced.
I've never been.
Wow.
So 3 times.
What's shocking was I have tattoos too, but not as much as her. Like I only have a couple on my arms.
But you're allowed to the hot spring?
No, I don't think I'd be allowed.
You can put a Band-Aid on. I can't put a Band-Aid on.
But what I've noticed was a bit surprising is people stare at me as well. If I'm by myself, not with her, and people see my tattoos, they stare at me. But back at home, my level of tattoos is just common.
Hello, my name is Yogi. I'm from Germany, and I'm here on holiday for about 1.5 weeks. First time in Japan, and I love it.
Because you mentioned about it's also your first time to visit Asia, right?
Yes.
So can you talk about it? What does it feel like?
It's really mind blowing.
Mind blowing. Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah. Why did you choose Japan to visit as your first destination?
It was my dream to go to Tokyo and Japan my whole life.
Yeah.
I love video games and anime.
What is your first impression of Japan?
It's great. I arrived at the airport and the first leave the door and the first thing I saw is Super Mario with Welcome to Japan, and I thought, I thought, oh, it's great. I love it.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
Like a real video game. Yeah. As a German, so do you think you can travel to Japan with zero Japanese?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah. It's no problem. The people are very kind. Everyone helps you when you have a question, or it's great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
What is one thing that you feel really surprised during your stay in Japan? Maybe you can share about it.
Like a culture shock.
Yeah, like a culture shock.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's very personal. Yeah, it's either good or bad.
Yeah, honestly, like onsens and like public baths.
Yeah.
Like that's
public what?
Like public baths, like a sento or an onsen.
Oh, okay.
Like when I first went to one, I was like, you know, in America you have a culture of just like everybody's very to themselves, but like everybody just goes to the public baths, you know, everybody's just showing their full body, and you're like, oh, this is normal.
Yeah.
But after you just get used to it, and there's like a thing of like everybody has a respect for each other.
Yeah.
And you know, people, it's like you do your own thing. You know, people won't bother you. It's like I feel like everything you do in the States, there's always somebody judging you. While here, like they might look at you, but it's just do your own thing. It's just a culture like that here. I much rather where people, you know, and another thing is like this society here compared to like American society, it's a society that's very driven towards preservation. So for example, things like this beautiful shrine that we're at right now, you wouldn't see that in the States because by now it would have been gone and just made into like an industrial complex. So yeah, there's a little bit of Walmart, and there's like a Best Buy right there. In a sense, it's like they really just want to keep on advancing, like new and big technologies and bigger this and bigger that.
And higher.
Yeah, build more, and it's like, you know, they just get rid of their own history, and it's like, this is amazing. I love seeing all these shrines. You know, I went to Fushimi Inari in Kyoto, and that was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had. You know, and just going to Kyoto and going to the older parts of the city, it's like, this is just amazing. You know, and granted, it's also due part to ice where I live in Miami. It's still a very modern city, but even then, there are a few places you could go to that's still part of like original Miami.
But just few.
Yeah, it's like, for example, you know, Miami was a city that was founded because trains, you know, Henry Flagler, he brought his train all the way down to Miami. And Miami started because of his train system. That train system is non-existent.
No?
Now they could go, it's just non-existent. You do not take a train anywhere in Miami unless you're like in Miami Beach and you want to take the metro or like a downtown. But aside from that, there's basically no trains in Miami.
So you have to drive yourself?
Yeah. Another thing here is a very big walking culture. You could walk anywhere you want to. Or, you know, at least you could walk to your station, walk to the nearest station, take a train to the nearest station to your destination, then walk there.
Yeah.
You have to drive everywhere in the States. Yeah. It's very different. But, you know, I'd much rather this walking culture than just, you know, drive everywhere.
What is one thing that you feel really surprised in Japan?
I think a big thing for me as well is you go and you sit down to eat. You don't walk and eat.
Oh yeah, that is for me it's a culture shock too because in Taiwan I can eat everywhere. Yeah,
exactly.
With my fried chicken.
Yeah.
Or
And
we'd
like
grab a coffee in Melbourne and walk and drink the coffee and just get to where we need to be. But
yeah, absolutely, and especially being like such a well known for its food country.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of want to try everything here. So you've got to allow that more time to be able to like buy it, sit down, eat it. And I mean, it does make you enjoy it more. Yeah. But you've got to factor that in when you're planning. And I think rubbish is another massive thing where there's not rubbish bins everywhere. Where in Australia they are everywhere. Yeah. So is litter. Yeah. Where here there's not really rubbish bins anywhere that you can find that easily. But there's also no litter anywhere. Yeah. Which is such an interesting I guess, contrast.
A shock, I guess, was like we're walking around in the city, like Tokyo yesterday, and the architecture is just like, I wasn't expecting it to be the way it is. Like it's very like stark. Everything's like in neat rows and it's all clean and like sharp lines. And that just like that was like a big like, oh, okay, this is very different to like in Australia. Everything's like, or Melbourne, everything's like messy or like a bit dirtier, because it was kind of, you know, built as a convict settlement and then expanded. So it wasn't really planned out, but everything here seemed like very planned and very like meticulously thought out.
Very organized.
Very organized. And I we were talking about it yesterday when we were just walking through, like around with the Imperial Palace. It's all like meticulously clean. All the lawns are like super neat and tidy. Just like that aspect of the architecture of the city was very different and fascinating.
Your perspective is about the buildings. The appearance about the building.
Okay.